Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Okay, so there's been a lot of narratives in this election, specifically focusing on Democrat narratives, and of course we've tackled most of them. We've debunked all the nonsense, so to speak. One that I could mention recently was the suggestion that Donald Trump is exhausted. Oh, he's so tired he can't keep up with cackling communist Kamala.
His team at least is saying he's suffering from exhaustion. And that's apparently the excuse for why he's not doing interviews, and of course he's not doing the CNN town hall.
But that narrative, of course, didn't last very long, considering Kamala Harris has done like one interview in the last 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Donald Trump in the last couple of days here is doing 3 to 4 rallies, not in the last couple of days or in the last couple of weeks, but a day. I think on the final day, as I'm recording this video on November 4th, Donald Trump has 4 rallies scheduled. You know, just complete nonsense. Obviously, this whole Donald Trump's exhausted narrative didn't exactly last too long. And so you'd expect at this point, maybe the Democrats would learn from their mistakes. Maybe stop lying, stop trying to misrepresent what's actually happening. But nope, of course not. That's not what they do. They simply double down or move on to the next thing. And so we've got the next narrative. The Trump campaign is supposedly losing steam. MSNBC's Jen Psaki claims that the Trump campaign seems to be losing oxygen and fast.
So I've said it before, and I will keep saying it. Nobody knows how this thing is going to turn out. But I think it is safe to say that one campaign does seem to be closing this thing out very strong, and one seems to be losing oxygen fast.
We've also got more MSNBC DNC shills doing the same thing that we've seen them do for years, going to Trump rallies and claiming that nobody's showing up, there's large blocks of empty seats.
We're looking at about a capacity about 70% full here, and for 9 years, I'm going to have Tony Pan to the right. For 9 years, we have talked about the enthusiasm and the masses that have come out for Trump's rallies, time and again, even at his politically lowest points, including in 2022. But interestingly, and I can't tell you exactly why, but in this final week, we have seen far smaller crowds. We were in Greensboro, North Carolina, where just a few thousand people. Macon, Georgia, just a few thousand people yesterday.
There's just no enthusiasm, folks. The campaign is fizzling. Okay, that's an interesting narrative that you guys have set here. But as per usual, I think first of all, it's a lie. And secondly, it's misdirected. In other words, it's projection, because it seems as though that's exactly what's happening on your side. Let me make that case. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so apparently the Trump campaign is losing steam. Coming after their historic Madison Square Garden blow the roof off the building event, and that, by the way, is footage from my cell phone. So let me tell you, it's definitely real. Trump is filling up, jam-packed, the most famous arena in the world in deep blue New York City, and he's supposedly fizzling out and losing oxygen fast, meanwhile at the Kamala Harris rally.
Let's vote! Let's get out the 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 vote! Let's win! All right, let's get to work. 24 hours to go. And
all right, everybody here, give me a V. Give me an O. Give me a T. Give me an E. It's fun to get out the... No. It's fun to get out the V-O-T-E. It's fun to get out the V-O-T-E.
Yep, as per usual, we gotta respond with the video meme. Yeah, let me tell you, I think it's definitely projection. There seems to be no enthusiasm behind Kamala Harris, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised if a good chunk of her supposed loyal voters kind of forgot that she even exists. I mean, look at the lack of atmosphere and energy, and also the size of the crowd. Now, I don't want to go down that route of, oh, whoever's got the bigger crowd is guaranteed to win the election. No, of course not. But it's got to tell you something, right? At least about the candidate herself. Kamala Harris continues to make the claim that Trump rallies are the smaller rallies and that she's the one really rallying people and getting people into these events like nobody else.
oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street.
Quote, "You're at the wrong rally. I think you meant to be at the smaller rally down the street." But what's the common denominator with all of Kamala Harris's supposedly massive, big hype rallies? Ding, 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 yep, you guessed it. The presence of a massive, worldwide famous celebrity. I mean, come on, look at her Houston rally, where it was being reported the night prior that supposedly Beyonce was gonna perform. Yeah, who do you think people were there for, or what do you think people were there for? Kamala Harris's speech, or the supposed Beyonce concert that never actually happened? Do I even need to say it? I think not. You know, I think it's kind of obvious what's happening. This is what a rally looks like when no big worldwide phenom celebrity is present. It's a small crowd in a small venue with a couple people who aren't even really that excited, who Kamala Harris can't even really seem to motivate to go along with her chant. It's just so incredibly cringe, but I think it also might be a visual metaphor for what's to come. If Kamala Harris can't get people to chant, how can she get people to go to the polls? If Kamala Harris can't get people to show up to her events when she's supposedly the most famous person in politics, the most qualified candidate to ever run for office, according to CNN and MSNBC, then how can she get people to show up to the polls to vote for her? It really feels, I don't know, like one campaign is running out of oxygen and fast. I just don't think it's the campaign that Jen Psaki was talking about. And look, again, I'm not saying this so people get complacent. I'm not trying to pretend as if this thing's a done deal and Kamala Harris can't win. I'm just trying to do analysis and present what I'm seeing. And what I am seeing here is that it seems as though the Kamala Harris campaign has totally fizzled, and I think panic is starting to hit. I mean, remember last week when we were talking about how Kamala Harris withdrew, I think, $2 million in campaign funds from North Carolina and then redirected it to Virginia? Yeah, that doesn't seem like a campaign on the offensive, now does it? It seems like a campaign on the defensive, a campaign in damage control mode, the Democrat establishment mobilizing funds in a possible pathetic effort to save down ballot races. And that's a really interesting thing, and I'm using it as a segue to get to this tweet right over here, which I find fascinating, or at least fascinating if true. We've got Councilwoman Vicky Palladino, who's a New York City Council member representing District 19 of Queens. She's a Republican, I might add, but she apparently seems to have the inside scoop. And let's just say it's not looking so good when it comes to the morale of the Kamala Harris campaign apparatus. Let me read this. Take a listen. She writes here, "Just spoke to Democrat consultant friend on the ground in a swing state who told me I could repeat some of what we discussed. Here's what I could tell you. Take it with a grain of salt if you like, but I think he's being straight with me. Nobody really thinks that Kamala Harris is going to win at this point. Canvassing is going poorly almost everywhere with few exceptions. The party is getting their high follower influencer accounts to push out motivational stories just to keep the morale up and get them over the finish line with some dignity, but it's not great. The Iowa poll was good to give a shot of adrenaline to volunteers, but nobody important believes those numbers are real. Of all the swing states, they're hoping Michigan comes through and possibly a late night miracle in Pennsylvania, but nobody is counting on either of them. They don't think Trump is actually going to flip Virginia or New Hampshire, but the fact that they've even entered the conversation is indicative of how bad things could potentially turn. The early vote counts are just beyond what they expected to see for Republican turnout, and it has Democrat strategists rethinking whether it was a good idea to make such a big push to broaden early voting in the first place. Republican low propensity voters are activated in a way that nobody really expected, and the polls didn't capture it. Yes, it is possible that those early Republicans broke Democrat in an unprecedented way, but very unlikely. The campaign has switched entirely to woman versus man messaging. Yeah, we got that, as liberal white women are the only reliable voter bloc that they can even identify at this point. The priority now is saving some down ballot races and flipping the House so the night isn't a total embarrassment for Democrats. Like I said, take this all with a grain of salt, as this is secondhand information, but this is what I was told, and I think it tracks with other things that we know. So I'm just going to mirror what she said, take it with a grain of salt, but if this is true, and I'm kind of leaning that it might be true, well then ask yourself, which campaign is really running out of steam or running out of oxygen? It might be yet again one of those situations of Democrat narrative versus reality, or Democrat narrative being at complete odds with reality. I guess we're going to find out real quickly now, won't we? Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, friends, and I'll see you on the next one.